I would tell parents that it is something that your child can't do on their own. And it's not something that you, as a parent, can be there to help them with all the time. So I think it's very important that whatever support system that your child gravitates to, allow them to do that. Have moments where you step back and allow them to learn to advocate and go to different teachers or supports that they have in place because it's something that you have to learn to navigate even in the workplace.
Hey there, and welcome to the Speechy Side Up podcast. My name is Benita Litvack, and I am so grateful you're here. I'm an ASHA certified speech language pathologist, author, and augmentative and alternative communication consultant who is obsessed with helping SLPs like you stop reinventing the wheel and connect with other SLPs in the trenches. Have you ever wondered how other SLPs seem to be doing it all with ease? Well, around here, you'll get to hear firsthand how SLPs are really getting things done while keeping evidence-based practice and self-care in mind. Think of this as a coffee date with your SLP friends. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while we learn together. Today, I'm joined by Philip Long, who is named to the 2023 Marquee Who's Who of America class. He is a passionate advocate for children facing learning challenges, having personally overcome significant obstacles due to dyslexia. Despite struggling with reading and writing throughout his early education, Philip's determination and resilience led him to achieve both a bachelor's and a master's degree, all while reading at a fifth grade level. Philip understands firsthand the frustrations and triumphs that come with navigating the educational system with a learning disability. His journey is a testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of tailored teaching methods. Philip is dedicated to helping parents and children bridge the gap in their learning journeys through his website and community. With warmth and charisma, Philip shares his personal experiences and effective strategies that helped him succeed in school. He aims to empower parents with the tools and knowledge to support their children, fostering an environment where every child can thrive despite their challenges. Join Philip as he shares his story, insights, and proven methods to turn educational struggles into success stories today. Philip, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yes.
Does that cover everything, or is there anything else you would like to add?
Oh, no, that covers it. Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. So let's start with how dyslexia has affected your educational and professional career.
Yeah. So starting out early on, I was born 6 months premature. And with that, I spent about 2 months or so on a respirator and incubator in the hospital. It was a really touch and go period for my mom and dad. And then after that, got home and went through the whole process. So we didn't really know it was dyslexia right away. They knew there might be some challenges with me being born premature. And so we first started to notice, well, I personally started to notice when I went to pre-kindergarten. We were given we're working together in a group is what I can remember. And it was this wooden block with these little lines, and you had to move these beads from one side to the other. And it was like to do some type of math problem. And all the other kids were getting it, but I wasn't getting it. And so that was when I first started to notice something wasn't quite the way that in terms of the other kids. But as time began to develop on, we started to see more and more challenges. So it was right around fast forwarding a bit to about second grade when my mom decided after a lot of struggles I was having in second grade to hold me back one year. And that's when I started to notice that there was some type of learning challenge happening, and my parents didn't notice, and they moved me to a new school starting the second grade again. And during that time, I started having assessments, and that's when I met Nancy Essex. She was my third grade teacher, my friend, and affectionately my grandmother.
Oh.
And yeah, she changed the course of my life forever. I didn't know how to read anything until I met with her. I met some other great teachers along the way. One of those before I moved was Mrs. Joyner. But then after reading schools, I met Miss Essex, and she really taught me how to read for the first time. Didn't know how to spell or anything. So the first book I read was Mr. Phibbs. And I remember learning how to read this book and running home to my mom and dad and tell them, oh my gosh, look, I can read, I can read. It was a lot of fun and exciting to be able to do so. It was a very a joyous time, but it also was the beginning of a journey of teasing and bullying that would last for most of my elementary school year. And so after that assessment in third grade, finally got moved to third grade, and then we started going to what we was called during my time called LD classrooms or learning disability classrooms for listening audience. And that was something that I began to hear quite a bit. It's a brand new school, second year there. And I was some kids showed me around. I got to meet all these different kids, and it was awesome. But everything began to change the following year once I got put into the LD classes. And so with that, the kids begin to tease us, the kids that are in the class, and I would have friends. And it's okay, I thought we were friends. No, we don't hang out with LD kids. And it became a whole thing, right? And so not only am I, and they would tease me and say, "Oh, you can't read," and different things of that nature. And I was like, "Yes, I can read. Look, this is the book that I can read, right?" And that was a real challenging time. And so I guess that's when we first started to recognize what the disability was, and it was just labeled as learning disability, right? And started to really understand what that was and how it was affecting me, you know?
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience. And
Mhm.
it seems like those memories can really make an impact on you. And you just knew like those moments in time where you were struggling and then you got help and it made a huge impact. So, what helped to make you successful during your school years? Like, what types of support should schools provide to children with dyslexia to improve their chances of success?
Yeah, so for me, a part of me is that's going to be telling a little bit more of the story. So it was working with Nancy to through about third, all the way up to sixth grade, where then I moved into junior high. So I think one thing that would be helpful is having that support. I think technology and things are a lot more advanced than what they were when I was starting out. And so one of those things that would I believe that will help parents along the way is first of all, really understanding what dyslexia is for your child. One out of every five students or every two out of every five students have dyslexia. And so it affects everyone different. For me, it affected my reading, it affected my spelling, it affected my math. The three major areas that you really tested on at school, it's where dyslexia was affecting me. So first, the parents really understanding how it affects your child. And they may be really good at math and may not be as great as in some other areas. And then finding where their strengths are, because they're going to hear a lot in school, at least I did, of what I couldn't do. So I guess my tip to parents is first of all, give them a positive place. If they're really good at science, then put a lot of reward systems around that. And in the areas that they're not so good, but they're starting to slowly show that progress, then begin to build upon that. Obviously, that would be first because anything you're coming into, your attitude is really the determining factor. So if you're coming in with a positive attitude, so if you can build an environment where there's positivity, positive attitude there, that's really going to help it. It doesn't lessen the challenges that will come, but it does give you a little bit of a leadway, so to speak, or add a sail to your boat to kind of get you where you're trying to go. So I would start there first, and then really understanding, depending on what school system you're in, where if you're private, charter school, or you're just doing public school, the type of support that you have in the school, you're going to have to really learn to become the advocate for your child in some places. Because dyslexia is becoming more and more known and there are more support, but in some school systems, that support can be a lot or can be a little. And so if you're in a place where it's a little support, you're really going to make sure that you become an advocate and really understand what it is that your child needs and teach them how to become their own advocate to say, okay, I can do this, this, and this. And it's better for me to do it this way, and have things in place for them. And as we carry on the conversation, I'll talk a little bit about how to implement technology in there.
Great. Those are really great tips. How did you help bridge your own learning gap, and, like, how would you recommend parents do that as well for their children?
Yeah, so this is something that I figured out, of course, the hard way. That's why I got to tell you now for a little bit easier shortcut. So it was my third grade education from Nancy, that foundation that carried me all the way up into my sophomore year in college. And so I was at this fork in the road, so to speak, where is college going to be something that's for me? I remember being in my last IEP meeting, and the teacher said, and the counselor said, Philip's a great student, listens well, does his work, he does his very best, but we're not sure if college is going to be something that he'll be able to do. And so hearing that news, I could just hear my mom telling me, "You can do everything that you put your mind to, right? And all things possible with God." So just like, okay, there's got to be a way for me to do this, right? And so I said to my parents, "We've got to figure something out here." And so I got to my sophomore year in college, and I'm at that point, and I'm at the third grade reading level. What happens is there's a lot of reading, vocabulary, and knowledge in between mentally and cognitively being at a third grade level and physically being at your sophomore year in college. So there's this huge gap of knowledge that I don't have, right? Of words and knowledge and the things that I would need to know to be at the level that I'm physically in. So I went back at 19, 20 years old. I went back to a place called Sitting Learning Center. Here I am, 20 years old, and we're all sitting at a U-shaped table, and there's a 9-year-old on my left and 9-year-old on my right. And we're sitting at this table, and we all read on the same reading level. And I go through the whole semester of doing this, and one of the kids, being kid, said, "Did mommy drop you off?" I was like, "No, I drove, but we need to focus on this." So you can get to fourth grade, and I can get to my junior year of college, right? And so, I mean, that was a big to swallow, but I understood that this is what I needed to do to get where I wanted to go. And so I literally had to go back to third grade, as I can't really say, but I literally had to go back to third grade and get some things that I needed in the middle to grasp. And so that's one way that I bridged that learning gap. And that's what brought me up to about a fifth grade reading level. But still, between fifth grade and your sophomore year of college, there's a gap. And so sophomore year, when I got back into the school, I took my first class that went for college credit because I was taking a bunch of preparatory classes, went for college credit, and I ended up getting a B in the class. So I was super elated. It's actually something that's going for school, and I realized it's something I can do now. And so I went to my resource and disability center, and the director was Stephanie Dawson, and she introduced me to a software called Natural Reader. And that is what really changed the next course of my life. It really helped me begin to bridge that gap. So how I began to bridge that gap was I was physically in one place and another. So I began to use the power of listening. So we talked. I talked about a little bit about finding out what your child's strengths are. So my strength was listening. I mean, if I could hear it, then I can learn it, and that's something that I told myself. Well, if I can hear it, I can learn it. So I'm taking out the limitation of trying to understand what I'm reading because I could read something, but at the same time, I wouldn't remember anything that I read, if well, especially as it began to get to a higher level. So listening is what how I begin to bridge that gap. And I also kept reading books at that fifth grade reading level. And so what happens is if you don't bridge the gap as a student or as an individual, you could feel like you're on a treadmill, not quite getting where you need to be because you're physically in one grade, but you're, cognitively and thinking you're a few grades back. And so in order to keep up and understand what vocabulary, what knowledge, how should I be thinking as a sophomore in college only came through listening. So it was continuing to work on my reading, but using technology. And that's how I was able to bridge the gap and of course to graduate.
Oh, wow. What an inspirational story. You're right. That gap is significant. And in the event that we just did at Literacy Connect, one of the speakers, Dr. Danae Lawson,
Mhm,
she talked about how her children who are receiving tiered support, she still introduces them to grade level text,
mhm,
whether it's through echo reading or different strategies, because she said that that gap will always exist if we're only exposing them to the text they can currently read.
mhm.
And I thought that that was a really good point. And I love that you were able to capitalize on your strength of listening so that you could access the material and the curriculum and then continue to work on your reading skills as well. So thank you for sharing that success story.
Thank you.
So, what does your current role look like as an educational advocate?
Yeah, so I've been teaching English as a second language since 2008 when I studied abroad in South America. I've been doing that for some time. I work with a couple parents here and there, giving them different advice on what to do with their children who have dyslexia. And I also am starting to do some motivational speaking for schools. So coming in and speaking to a group of students. I did that for a high school football team, group of students, share with them our story, success, challenges, and ways to overcome some of the reading issues that some of the players had on the team. So that's how I've been able to be involved and would like to continue to be involved in that way. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Did anybody come up to you after you spoke?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a few of the players came up and they really just wanted to know, is it possible to get over this? Is this something? I think the misconception is that it's something that eventually you'll grow out of. Like as a kid, if you're allergic to something, or for example, you hated macaroni and skins, you might like it as an adult. It doesn't work that way, but to understand that with work and dedication and connected to the right support and teams or software, it's something that it can lessen its effect on your life, but it's still something that will kind of be a part of your life. If you mix up letters, you'll probably mix up letters until into your old and gray, really. But it's really just having the right support and tools in place to help you do that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's a lot like being prescribed glasses. Like you'll always have, difficulties with not you particular in particular, but anybody that has difficulties with their eyesight may need some supports, whether it's contacts, glasses, or they get surgery. And somehow we're not applying that to other disabilities as well. And so just normalizing it is, I love what you're doing. I think it's so important.
Yeah, I think it could be this misconception that dyslexia is just twisting words around. Or I remember being in college and we were in a study group type of setting, and I needed to listen to the file, and someone says, "Oh boy, we got a lazy reader with us," and
Yeah.
and then something that I heard before, but at that point, I'm trying to pass the class. Let's just work together and get the job done. And that's one of those things that it's that misconception that the person is lazy. I think one thing that is true is the dyslexic person is probably one of the smartest persons in the room. We're just designed to learn things at a different rate. And I think one thing is really having a good support system. I think all teachers and counselors or folks that you have in your tribe or circle, not all of them are going to necessarily be that the advocate of support, but it is the ones that are will. And the next one was my English professor, Diana Warrior. Great support for me. I actually call her my mom now. She really believed in me and in terms of what I could do in school. We had to do my first English class with her. We had to write a paper about who was our hero, and I wrote about Nancy Essex and in my first English class, and I received my first A. And so Diana has worked with me and helped me improve my writing and my reading, and has been a truly support for me. And it's something that I would tell parents that it is something that your child can't do on their own. And it's not something that you, as a parent, that you can be there to help them with all the time.
Mhm.
So I think it's very important that whatever support system that your child gravitates to, allow them to do that. Have moments where you step back and allow them to learn to advocate and go to different teachers or supports that they have in place, because it's something that you have to learn to navigate even in the workplace. So I think it's something important that when parents are, working with the kids, the older they get, it's better to help equip them with the tools that they need to be able to advocate, or that teacher that they think are able to go to as they're continuing to go through, whether it be lower school grade or coming into college or some type of trade school.
Yeah, great points. So, we have a lot of professionals that listen to this podcast. If anybody is interested in maybe having you speak at their school or have you do coaching, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I have a website what gives you a little bit over my story. and then there's my calendar there. So they're able to connect with me, and I'll send that link over to you for them to be able to get some time on my calendar, and more than happy to come into their school or into their workplace and share my story and how I can be a help to them.
Great. Can you go ahead and say the website as well?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, they can connect with me on my website. It's going to be www.plong3812 at system.io slash D2E 2995A. And there they can look at my website and provide for you the show notes as well. I also have a Twitter or X account, and it's at Dyslexia SK. And I also have a YouTube account as well that I provide as well.
Okay. And is your Instagram the same as the Twitter handle or is it different?
Again, Instagram is more like a personal account, but I
Oh,
can, yeah, I'm gonna be building out another one. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Great. We'll definitely put the link into the show notes. That was a long one.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on the YouTube page, I've developed some positive affirmations for kids. I think that's really important to be able to remind yourself every day of who you are, understanding that you do learn differently, and that's fine. But focusing on the positive aspects of things, like I can learn, I can read, it's possible for me to learn, and it's okay that I learn my own way. And it's creatively done. It's done in a child's voice, allowing them to connect with that. So it's 20 powerful affirmations that they can do once a day as they get ready to start their day, because along that day, I'm sure you're going to hear you can't do something at least once or twice in one of your school settings. So it'd be a great way to kind of start your day and end your day with some great positivity.
I love that. Oh, this has been amazing, Philip. Thank you for reaching out. I'm so glad we got to connect, and you have a very bright future ahead. You're going to really inspire a lot of students, and I just can't wait to follow along on your journey. So thank you again.
Thank you again. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. By the way, have you joined the SSU crew yet? By joining, you get access to the free good section on our website, plus podcast updates, special event notifications, and therapy inspiration. You can sign up at bit.ly/join SSU crew, all lowercase, or just find the link in this episode description. Also, don't forget to take a screenshot of this episode so that you can always refer back to it, and share it on social media if you really love the topic. Take care, and remember to always fill your speechy side cup first before you can pour into others.